What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We are actually going to be editing your photos. So let's roll that intro and let's get into it. That's right, today we are actually going to be editing your guys' photos. I reached out to some of my photography friends and I wanted to try something a little bit different. I wanted to edit your photos, but in my style, and just to see like how it would be if I put my spin on photos that I didn't take. And one disclaimer I want to put on this is that this is not me claiming that I'm making these photos better in any way. Maybe arguably I'm going to be making them worse. But I just thought it would be fun to put my own style on my friends' photos and just see just how this turns out. So we got photos from I think 5 or 6 different photographers. So let's hop into this and let's get going. So you can see we got 9 photos that we're going to be working with today. And we're going to start off with this pair of Huracans. I'm going to put their Instagrams down below, so make sure you go follow them. They're really awesome to provide their photos for me. And if this is something that you have photos and you would love to see me edit them too and just see what kind of style I can put on it, let me know down below, and then maybe we can do this other one where I ask you guys for your photos and we edit them too. So let's hop into this photo. I haven't really looked at any of the pictures beforehand, so this is going to be fun, just kind of watch my process on what I do. And we got this awesome photo of these Huracans in this kind of airstrip whatever area. And first we're gonna crop it down a little bit. The photos came pre-cropped, which I've actually never seen that before, so I promise I didn't work on these beforehand. And basically just gonna get everything straightened up, watching the horizon line up here, making sure the spacing on the sides is equal with the Huracans. And I think I want to shift this over just a little bit that way. Straighten it out a little more. Bring it down just a little bit farther. Just get these guys centered up. Okay, I think that looks good there. Definitely want to bring up the brightness on this photo a little bit. And then instantly I can tell I'm going to want to remove the blues out of this photo. I like my photos to be warm, so I'm going to just turn up the temperature just a little bit. I kind of like that feel that it gives a little more, but I can still tell there's some blues in the whites and in the matte gray over here, so I'm actually going to turn the aquas down and then turn the blues off. And that gives it kind of just a more contrasty thing, but I still like to have the blues in the sky. So what I'm going to do here is get a linear gradient, pull it down from there, and drop the exposure down to bring the information back in the clouds. Then I'm actually going to pump up the saturation. Because we just turned the saturation down off the blues, we're going to pump it back up to bring them back. So I think that looks good on the sky. Let's throw up another linear gradient here on the bottom. Bring the darkness down here. So one thing I like to do is I like to darken the top and the bottom so the focus kind of sandwiches in. And then it just brings your focus all down towards the middle. So that looks good there. Now let's highlight the Huracans themselves, the subject, and I'm going to subtract and use the brush tool to clean this up so I'm not working on stuff that isn't the cars. Bring that up. I like to bring up the shadows just to bring in those details that are in the grills and the wheels. Bring that up, and then the brightness on the bodies never like match up what I want to with the wheels too, so I'll actually take a brush tool and highlight the wheels right here and bring up the shadows on there to make the calipers pop and make the wheels pop just a little bit more. We'll do that for both cars. Then I'll probably even do it for the grills too, just to bring out that texture a little bit on the grills. There's that. And then I like a lot of contrast in my photos. Let's pump that up a little bit, but then increase the shadows. Then I want to select the background. This is one thing I like to do in my photos. Let's add in all of this background here. A little bit on the car. then I actually like to pump up the clarity of the background it just adds that like kind of grungy texture to everything around it. But if you do it to the car too much, then it can bring out a lot of the reflections a little too much. Let's pop up the clarity just a little bit on the whole photo, which kind of increases the brightness of the highlights where you want it to be. And yeah, I just like the more texture that comes out when you increase the clarities up. So that photo's looking pretty good. I think color-wise, not really much else I want to do to it. So let's pop it into Photoshop and let's do the final touches on it. So in here, I click J to get my clone stamp tool. I'm just going to remove all the little things that I don't want in here that catch my attention. I'm probably just going to leave that because that's a pain in the butt to edit out. But actually, no, let's try the new Photoshop like AI tool, see if it will remove it. I just barely got the AI generative thing here, and they removed it pretty good. Let's see the other options here. Doesn't look too bad. Let's go with the first one. And yeah, that cleans up the photo a bit nicer. Maybe we'll do the same for these things right here too. And comment down below, what is your opinion on using AI for your photography? Is it cheating, or is it just another tool in our bag that we should be using? I personally think just to remove little distractions in a photo, totally fine. But to change an entire background of something, that's when it gets a little iffy in my opinion. But photography is art. That's all there. And if people want to use AI to express their art, then that's up to them. That's okay. So let's just use the clone stamp, not clone stamp, the fill to remove that. Straighten up the fence a little. Maybe I'll try to get rid of these white things up here. And maybe I'll try to get rid of all these ones too. So many of them. Oh, I think I can't remove those because they came with the AI generative fill. Which that's one thing that's really bugging me with the AI generative fill, is you can't clone stamp the stuff that it puts in the photo. It's like these things I can't remove. These ones over here I can. But it's just kind of a pain in the butt a little bit. And the cars, all good. Might remove these little bit of specks here and there. Everything looking good. This one's pretty clean. And the photo's looking a little bit grainy, so when we put it back in Lightroom, I'll actually bring down the noise a little bit. Save that over into Lightroom so you can just see how much cleaner this is going to turn. And now let's denoise this just a little bit. Make the cars be a little bit more smooth. And there you go. So here's the before and the after of this photo. Again, thank you so much to the photographer that provided this one. And let's go on to the next one. All right, this next photo is awesome with this R32 under these cherry blossoms here, which is one of my dream shoots to do. Awesome photo. Let's get this cropped here, all lined up. Love the subject. This looks so cool. Let's bring the exposure up just a little bit. Again, I like my photos to be a bit contrasty. I think there's way too much blue in this car, so I might drop the blues down just to bring the gray color back. Let's see what a little pump of clarity does to this guy. The highlights are a little too bright for my taste. I'm going to turn the highlights down. And that's not looking too bad, but let's linear gradient from the top. And yeah, that's a little bit better. And let's do the same for the bottom up. drop the exposure down just to sandwich the focus to the car. Let's select the subject. Selected it pretty good. Let's bring the shadows up. I like that. Let's select this background. Do kind of the same. Let's bring the clarity up a little bit just to bring in that texture. Maybe we'll drop the highlights again. Let's drop the aquas down, and I kind of want to make these pinks pop, so I'm guessing, are they going to be magenta? Yeah. Let's bring up the saturation on the magenta. Is purple in there too? No, it's just magenta. Okay. And then let's just make this whole picture feel a little bit more vibrant. Let's bring up the vibrance all around, just to kind of make the greens and all those pop. I kind of think I'll throw a gradient gradient just to kind of bring in the focus just a little bit more. And I think let's, like we did on the other one, brighten up the wheels a little bit because that's kind of the dark spot on the car at the moment. Bring in the grille too. I want to show off that graded grille. And contrast it a little bit more. I think that's looking pretty good, so let's hop it into Photoshop. The ground's a little bit dirty in this photo, but that just comes with this. So we're actually just probably going to focus on removing a lot of these just little blemishes and the reflections in the car paint. There we have it. So here's the before and after of this one. And thank you again so much for submitting this photo. And let's go on to the next one. All right, we got this killer shot from Tayden right here with this Ferrari 458, these horses and these cowboys. This photo shoot is just awesome. One of my favorites that I've seen him do. Thank you so much for sending me this, because yeah, I was jealous of this shot. So definitely gonna want to remove the car in the background. Let's bring up this exposure. It's going to be kind of a dark photo, which is totally cool, but I think this photo needs to be contrasty. It's a little green tinted, more for my taste. I'm going to pop up the tint a little more purple, and I wonder what a clarity does to this thing. I might not do too much. I might actually dehaze this a bit to keep it a little more dreamy. Pop the clarity up a little bit. Already loving the tones of this shot. Let's pop up that temperature just a bit. Let's bring down exposure of the sky just a tiny bit. Wonder what the photo thinks is the subject. Let's see. Yeah, it's going for the horses, so we'll clear out these cowboys and try to pick this Ferrari a little more. Let's see. Just to kind of make the car stand out just a little bit more. I can tell it's going to be a bit grainy if you try to bring up the exposure a little too much. Might even take it off the wheels and stuff. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe we'll play with these sliders a little bit. So we can get a little bit more of a stylized look to this photo. I'm liking that little more intense, like orangey color. like that right there. Drop this down just to smooth it out a little bit. Put a little gradient. So profile, fix that. Just look nice and see the before and after so far. Now let's pop it into Photoshop. Let's try to remove this car best we can. Gender filter pretty good. Remove these bugs and all the things off the car. This Ferrari 458, if you don't know, it's the one that I filmed for one of the videos I did back in the day. I did photos with this and Bronson, who just bought it, which also, if you haven't checked that video out, make sure you go see it. The video didn't really do very good, like not many people watched it, so if you haven't watched it, go check it out. We did a photo shoot with this Ferrari and it was really cool. The 458 is one of my favorite cars of all time. It was the first supercar I ever got to drive, and I think I'm gonna try and remove not all the power lines, but just this big part of them. So there's the final photo. Here's the before and after of this one. Tayden, thank you so much for sending this in. Love the photo. And let's go on to that. Let's go on to the next one. Got another one right here, at least from Cody. So let's crop this one up. Generally for Instagram, I'd be cropping for 4x5, but lately I've been doing a lot more landscape photos and I've been really enjoying it. Like, I don't like cropping everything to 4x5 right now. I feel like that just takes away from so much of the stuff that you can include in a photo. So let's pop up the contrast. I can tell this one's clarity is gonna look really nice with this one, just adding all the texture and stuff from all around. Might crop this down just a little bit so I don't have to deal with the blown out sky that was up there. Let's try to see, let's get this lined up as good as we can. And linear gradient this, bring this down. So this one we're not going to be able to really remove the blues and make it a little more warm, just because there's a lot of blues just everywhere and in the car, so that's totally fine. I actually want to play with the temperature a little bit and see what happens. Kind of liked where it was. Always take aquas out just for the windshields. Let's drop the luminance. It was a little bit grainy. Focus around the car. Let's select the subject. And my workflow seems a little bit all around. I kind of usually don't follow the same steps. I just adjust everything that I can around just to see how it affects certain things, and if one setting changes something but it makes me catch my eye on wanting to do something else, then that's kind of what you see me doing. So I kind of like how that's looking right there. Might bring the highlights down just a little bit just to darken this wall over here. But bring the shadows. Let's bring the whites up on the car a little bit more. Make the car stand out. And bring the blacks down just to make it pop a little bit more. Now do that. If I go like this and actually bring the saturation down, I might just seeing if I like it better with the windows desaturated instead of looking all blue. Let's see what this looks when I do it to all the other windows. Let's do a before and after. think that kind of helps make the car stand out a little bit more. So I like that. Maybe I'll just resaturate just a hair, but I want the car to be the central focus here. So kind of like that so far. Let's pop it into Photoshop. Don't really see too much that needs to come out. Maybe just a little cleanup of things here. Not really gonna take the time to remove that. I'll pop this guy away. Okay, this photo is actually pretty clean. Don't really need much on it, so let's send that back to Lightroom. And here's the before and the after. And thank you again so much for sending this photo. Friggin' awesome. This car is super cool. Looks like it's a 350Z or the 370. Let me know down below. Let's hop into another one right here of these awesome Porsche GT cars. I am gonna crop this one 4x5 just to, just bring the cars closer. Let's crop it in a little more. Let's center these ones up. Get the line up just right. The spacing on the ends, good. And let's get working on it. Let's throw that contrast up. And that clarity just a little bit. I wonder if I want to crop this. I like that a little more, instead of doing a vertical 4x5. Crop it this way. Let's throw a linear gradient up here. Drop the exposure down just to bring the focus in. Select the subjects. Like that. Let's play around with the temperature a little bit to see what looks better. I think one click cooler actually looks pretty nice. Let's drop the highlights down just a little bit. Actually crop this in just a little more and get out of a 4x5 ratio. Like that a little bit more and straighten this out a little better. Need more room on that side. Yeah, I like that a lot better. Picture's a little bit noisy, so let's pop that up and get profile corrections on here. I think I still want to crop it just a little bit more. Throw a radial gradient around this. And so there's another linear mask. We kind of cropped out the linear mask that we had. Let's see what happens when we take the blues out. Kind of like that a little bit more. Just increase the contrast here. Yeah, like that. Let's brighten up the wheels just a little bit. Cayman, it doesn't really need it, but the GT2 will benefit from that just a little bit. Actually remove that off that grill. Let's bring the noise reduction up a little bit more. Let's shoot this over to Photoshop. Remove all of the gunk from the grill. of the car. And there is the finished photo. And thank you so much for sending in this photo, and let's keep going on. Let's get this nice shot of a Viper right here. This one was sent to me as a JPEG, so I'm going to do my best, see what I can do. But let's probably get that 4:5 ratio going on, line it up a little bit. I think contrasting it a ton and making this just like headlight pop a lot is going to be the play here, especially increasing those highlights. Bring this exposure up, but then we'll balance it by dropping those highlights down. Actually, clarity, I actually don't think I'll in the clarity, because I want the whole focus to kind of be this headlight a little bit, so I crop it in just a little bit more. The noise down. Might use a brush tool to kind of increase the brightness of the headlight, just so it's a little more in focus and kind of more the center of attention. I crop this just up that way a little bit more. I think that's all the color correction we're going to do on this one, so let's throw this into Photoshop. Let's clean up the car just a little bit. Here is the finished photo. Here's the before and here's the after. Thank you again so much for sending that photo, and let's go on to the next one. Okay, this next one is this awesome shot of the Supra. Thanks Spencer for sending this to me. And so let's get this one cropped up. And I'm not gonna do a 4:5 crop, but let's try to get this guy centered in. Looks decently lined up already. The down. Yeah, that's gonna look sweet. So let's get this contrast up there. This photo needs lots of contrast. Let's pop this temperature up too. I want to get rid of these blues in here. Yeah, that just looks super good. Pop that temperature one more time up. Might not bring the shadows up. The photo is a little bit green tint, so I think I'm gonna switch a little more. Let's do like +18 on that. Select the subject. Take out that building that it caught with it. Bring up these shadows a tiny bit, but not too much. Move the whites up. Throw a linear gradient down on here. Again, just to bring the focus downward. And sometimes when there's a photo and the background's at an angle, like this one, or the foreground is, I'll put my linear gradient up at that same angle, so it's not just a uneven line coming up, but it's going with the photo. And let's bring down this luminance. It's a little noisy. Maybe put a round crop on there. And before and after. There you go. Now let's head over to Photoshop. Just clean things up just a little bit. Mountain Dew break. It's kind of just a busy area. We actually photographed in this area with a blue Nissan GTR, which I filmed a whole video about it, and none of the audio worked, so I never put that out for you, so I'm sorry that happened. It was a really cool photo shoot. Photos turned out amazing, but no audio. And I think that's all I want to do to the Supra. Maybe we'll clean up this reflection just a little bit. And take out all of that. And I think that's all we're gonna do on that. So here's the before, and now here's the after, the super shot. Spencer, you're awesome. Thank you for sending that. And we actually have another one of yours right after this one, another one of the Supra. Let's get into that. Let's get this all just lined up. I'm kind of looking at the silos right here in the center frame to get the line straight. Let's crop this in. Let's get the Supra centered up. Keep it on the rule of thirds though. Let's bring it down just a little more. Crop it over. Gonna dig in that. I might unlock the framing just to get rid of that building right there. And I think that looks pretty sweet. So let's contrast this one up too. Want to make that sunset pop. Might bring out this clarity just to bring in the texture out of all these things. I love good texture in my photos. And let's get rid of these blues to make the super white. But then we're gonna take this linear gradient, drop it down from here, maybe bring the exposure down a little bit, but then we're gonna pop the saturation back up here just to make the sky blue again. And this is already so dark, we're not really gonna do a linear gradient there. Let's select the subject. And it wants to select everything in the photo, so let's brush tool all these out. And try to get just the Supra to be worked on. Bring these shadows up just a little bit. Go there. Let's zoom this up just to bring out the noise just a little bit. Like that. But I might bring the oranges up just a little more to saturate those a little bit. Make this just a little bit more contrasty. Let's drop these highlights down. And don't really see anything that I want to Photoshop out of this too much, maybe the reflections, but this video's already getting pretty long, so that's the before, there's the after, and awesome shot, Spencer, great location. And let's go on to the final shot. Okay, we got this roller of this Porsche Cayman right here, a lot of motion going on. Car's a little bit out of focus, but I kind of like that style. Reminds me a little bit of that shot I did of the Porsche 906 where the whole car was out of focus too, but it just added so much more drama and movement to it. So if you see a picture out of focus, don't be afraid of it. Actually see it, play around with it, see if it can turn out really good. But we're definitely going to be contrasting this one up just to make the car just pop and boom a little bit. Then we're gonna bring the blues down like we always do. Maybe let's denoise anything on this one. Is there any profile corrections? I don't think so. Is this one a JPEG? I think it might be a JPEG. That's fine. Let's bring that in that way. Let's see, it's a little too purple for me, so we'll bring the tint down. And kind of like more of the cooler side of it, especially if the mountains had some like snow on it. Don't think it'd be too snowy, but it kind of looks like it did. Clarity kind of makes rolling shots pop a little bit more. The rolling shots that I did of Oakley's Twin Turbo Huracan, I used a lot of clarity on those just to make the road lines come up. But then let's actually select the background. And one thing that helps a lot of rolling shots is increasing your texture setting. So if you go in here and increase the texture, you can kind of just see how it makes those lines just a lot more sharper. So let's pop the texture up to like 20. Then the subject, let's increase the shadows, but maybe turn the highlights down just to get more of the car in there. And then I might do a real gradient like that. So here's the before and the after, just a little more intense, a little more punchy. And again, thank you so much for sending that photo in. So I think that's gonna wrap up the photo editing thank you guys again so much for sending these photos to me, and let me know down below if you want me to do more of these videos, because it was really fun just getting to play around with other people's photos and just seeing how I would put my style on it. And so if you guys want to see how I would edit your photos, let me know down below. Shoot me a message on Instagram, and maybe we can set up another one of these videos where I'm just editing your photos again. But let me know which one was your favorite. And again, shout out to all the photographers that sent me their photos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.